Alright, abusuafo for your mamu na akwaba e dey abayen channel iso. Message nan any day di kan aware video sibia subscribe and like what you say and so share and my we nso ana o de wadwen kire so aba comment section hono. Now young consem no so before say His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama ebeba president and I say yebeto aba no name na all the year campaign ebi eye oba e-levy hwew obetwam oba betting tax hwew obetwam oba chese name bebre na okan so oba obede obetwitwa sa name wem na chese oba sa bill na eda so da parliament bill about LGBTQ sa bill no and also so oba ade obe signing in tem kra ama chese bibia aye fine anase ma bibia free so akọ na afedi ba ne say na chese we so oba aye kra we need 6 months kra we so oba aye kra nya 3 months kra we so oba aye kra nya say kra nto ontimi ntwitwa na emam na ntiya ye nya ne say sana onim say at least obanka obenya no easy bisa na nka watimi atwitwa sa na emanimu on e-levy ne betting tax ne sa electricity vata hodo omode atoto so ko metwitwam obekaya time aye the finance minister aye ato forcing a call vetting no afenyo Markins ebisa no he asked him about sa e-levy ne sa na emanemu we ema okan se name bebrebe we a woso ba obetwam ati taxes bebrebe a woso ba obetwitwam and at the same time so nema wasa promise Ghanaian say wode beba so enye nema ketwa na wonso so na wo say ye de ka Ghana de ka bebre ECG de ka say we de ka say so nipa koya wo say obetwitwa taxes bebre mu na sika no ehemfa na obekwa akonya sa sika no ede abe fulfilled promises nema also be ya Ghana nkokon kitenkiti sa 24 hours economy implementation. Where are you going to get the money, the fund? How are you going to raise this fund? Now what they are yes our name with even free SHS na chese nsembin so efri hono mo ba chechemu kire say His Excellency the President is finding it somehow difficult to be said obetwitwa sa name anem emubi na yenkwaje nsem no bra hanom nimde news your home of politics and her like and subscribe and also say ni nyina ntimi meye abusuakuo baako yenkwaje nsem no embra.
Sometimes they want to do big things, some of them unpalatable, and so I have to call the previous government like what we say, call a dog a bad name and hang it, in order to justify whatever difficult things I will want to do. And so I understand them, because they promised to scrap taxes.
Yes.
COVID-19 levy, betting tax, e-levy, and now they are in government. They are faced with the reality because they have to govern. And to govern means you have to find the resources. The President was talking about debt service. President Kufuor paid debts. President Mills paid debts. Nana Akufo-Addo paid debts.
I mean, they paid debts they had inherited.
Yes, they inherited.
Yeah.
So President Mahama cannot run away from it. He has to pay debts.
That he has inherited.
Yes. And therefore, they have to find the resources to do that, just as every government in Ghana has done. Now they want to do some more taxes.
They want to impose taxes on the people.
I mean, I have intelligence.
But how do you know that?
I have intelligence on what they are trying to do.
With the budget?
For example, if you ask the people in the mining industry, they will tell you that they have discussed with them about increasing the growth and sustainability levy.
What's that? Where did it go? What is the growth and stability levy? And
it goes to the treasury.
Who took it out? Are they bringing? Is this something they are bringing back?
It's still there, but it's there already. It's been there for some time now. I mean, when we came, we said we're going to suspend it. We continued with it. Now, they want to increase the rate.
Or increase the rate
Yes.
of it. What percentage was it?
Yes, up to about 3%.
They want to bring it up to
Bring it up
3%.
about 3%.
So they can make more revenue.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. But when you have bastardized other people who have done that, as if they didn't love the country, they didn't love the people of the country. And so when you come, you're going to scrap the taxes that they brought in. And then you intend bring in, taxes and increase the rates of existing taxes. Then that's quite problematic. Then we also know about exemptions, VAT exemptions on the financial services, non-life, insurance and other financial services, VAT exemptions on telecommunications. Talk to the people in the telecommunications.
Yeah, those exemptions were announced by Oforiatta at some point.
Yes, talk to the people in the telecommunications industry. They will tell you. They have had discussions with them about removing or eliminating the exemptions and therefore bringing the VAT back.
So VAT on telecoms.
Telecoms. Yes.
So on the consumer and the supplier.
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah. So,
or the consumer will now have to bear the brunt.
The consumer will now have to bear because they will pass all this to consumers. You understand? And so when you want to do such difficult things, you have to call the previous government a bad government because I have challenged them, and no one has come to tell me so far that I lied. The president said we criminally mismanaged the economy.
Yes, he said.
He didn't provide any basis. During the State of the Nation address, he repeated it, that he inherited an economy in crisis. He did not provide any basis. I listened to the Minister for Finance at the National Economic Dialogue, even though the president had said that the minister was coming to tell the Ghanaian people the true state of the economy. I listened throughout. He did not make any basis for the conclusions, for the claims, unfounded business claims they have made. Maybe in the 2025 budget we will hear the true state of the economy.
The point you are making, you are concerned that the president, in addressing the parliament and the nation for that matter, said that the economy had been criminally managed, but he didn't provide any basis for it.
No basis.
But is that possible?
So what is the basis?
But is that possible?
You see,
I didn't hear all the address, but is it possible for a president of the nation to say
course.
the economy is bad, and he doesn't say,
yes,
look at this sector, it's like this. Look at that sector, it's like this. Mr. Speaker, look at this.
No.
This economy is bad.
But
He
Paul,
didn't say anything.
But Paul, if you want to tell me the real sector of the economy is one component. The external sector, your foreign relations, international trade, as we call it. This is one other sector.
Correct.
Then you have the financial sector. These are three key components of our economy.
Even the service.
Yes.
All of us can relate to service
Of course.
sector.
But if you look at the indicators, all these indicators point to the fact that the economy was strong before we left office.
Having overcome COVID.
Yes, I haven't heard of any contrary view. Because let's look at the real sector, for example. Real GDP growth at the time President Mahama left office was just 3.4%.
In 17 years.
3.4%. That's 2016.
Yes.
3.4%. By the end of the third quarter of last year, average 6.4% real GDP growth.
Oh, last year you mean 24?
24. 6.4% average. Compare that with 3.4%. So if somebody will say this economy was bad, it's actually not President Mahama. Because 3.4 is his best record so far. Okay.
And the post-economic COVID that he inherited was going at 6%.
Yes, and this is an economy that was faced with COVID, that was faced with the war in Ukraine. At the time President Mahama recorded 3.4%. There was not any major external shock. What I believe they were challenged with was Dumsor. But even a domestic issue like Dumsor could make them record such a low performance compared with the crisis that we have faced, global crisis that everybody knows about. We managed to post a real GDP growth of 6.4%. We are waiting for the Ghana Statistical Service to release the end year GDP growth. I understand they will release it next week around the 11 or 12 March.
End year 2024.
Yes, and you will see that.
We'll see that inflation was okay.
No, you will see that the real GDP growth for 2024 is much more than the target for 2024.
Okay, so you exceeded your target.
The target was, first of all, 3.1% at the time the 2024 budget was presented. Mid-year, it was revised to 4%. Yet the economy still did about 6%. That is not an economy that is bad. It's an economy that has recovered strongly from the crisis that we faced between 2020 and 2022. And we saw it coming systematically. Because in 2023, for example, we were expected to grow at 1.5%. We grew at 2.9%. Then for 2024, we were to grow at 3.1%, later revised to 4%, and we grew at 6.4%. That's an economy that has rebounded strongly. So if the president can say the economy was bad, it was in crisis, what is the basis? That is when you look at the real sector. Now we come to the external sector. The external sector, if you look at current account balance, for example, which tells us our payment positions to the rest of the world. If your economy is not good, you will be in deficit. You will be in deficit. But what did we see? At the end of 2024, we had a current account surplus of 4.2% of GDP.
Yeah, what does that mean, please?
Current account
Let's bring it out.
surplus.
Current accounts.
Yes, the payments we make to the rest of the world versus the payments they make to us.
Okay.
You know, and that's why it tells about our external payment position.
So 4.1 will mean
4.2% of GDP in surplus.
Okay, we had
It
a
means
surplus
that,
that amounts to 4.2% of our GDP.
Yes.
Okay,
our
so
GDP,
if our GDP was
compared with the deficit of 2% of GDP that President Mahama recorded in 2016.
Oh, I see. President Mahama left the incoming government in 2017 a deficit
Yes.
of 2.2%
3.1%
of GDP.
Yes, of GDP.
And you have given him for
Yes.
him
A
to inherit
surplus.
a surplus of 4.2%.
Yes, a surplus of 4.2%.
But why is nobody breaking these things down? Why are we allowing politicians to tell us what they think?
I've said this. I've said before we left office, and I've said it again yesterday. The president forgot about this. He didn't mention that in his State of the Nation address. And but let's also come to trade balance. Our trade relationship, our imports versus exports. When President Mahama left office, it was deficit 2%.
Our
Deficit 2%. It means
imports,
that
exports.
Yes.
We were in deficit.
Yes,
2%.
we were in deficit 2%
of GDP.
Of GDP.
Okay.
We left office in 2024 with a surplus of 5.9%
Of GDP.
Yes.
Oh, you appear to have done well.
So that is the external sector. So we've seen the real sector. We've seen the external sector. Now let's come to the financial sector. They said we mismanaged the financial sector, and to the extent that the money we spent on doing the financial sector cleanup was a waste. But the figures don't show that it was a waste, because today the results show that the financial sector is stronger. And I'll give you the data. All the indicators, whether you are talking about the total assets, growth in the total assets of the banking sector, financial sector, which grew at 33.8% by the time we left office.
Banking sector?
Yes.
Grew by 33%.
Yes. And
Year on year or what?
Yes, year on year.
So from 2023
Yes.
2024,
Yes.
there's a growth in banking
Yes.
sector,
Yes.
33%.
33%.
Where did you get that from?
In
The figure? Where did you get the
in
figure?
December 2024.
Can I verify those figures?
Yes, you can verify.
From Statistical Service?
No, the Bank of Ghana has published it. A
I
summary
see.
of economic and financial data.
Oh, I see.
It's published, a public document.
So it's within the knowledge of the president
Yes.
and the Jubilee
Of
House.
course. So December 2024, it grew by 33.8% compared to December the same time in 2023. That's what we mean by year on year.
Year on year, yeah.
Okay? And then deposits. When we did the cleanup, the financial sector cleanup, we said we wanted to protect depositors' money. Today, as I'm talking to you, total deposits have grown significantly. It grew year on year at the end of December 2024 by 28.8%. That's not a financial
People were
sector.
saving money.
Yes.
People had money.
This is not a financial
No,
sector
but-
that is in crisis.
No, Minister, but this is when they always say that the
Total
figures
deposits.
don't really match the market.
No,
Are
but-
you sure that Ghanaians were saving money
This
up
is
to 28% of 2023
This is
in
official
2024?
data. Deposits have grown year
But
on
everybody
year
was crying that
by
there's no money in our pocket.
28.8%. There is so much money, and I'll tell you why.
Tell
I'll tell
me.
you furthermore that there is so much money.
In our pocket.
All the noise about treasury rates are
Yes,
decreasing.
MDC have said that.
It's all because there is so much money.
No, say that again. The treasury
The
bill
treasury
rate that the
bill
government
decreasing.
is.
It's because there is so much money. The government
that-
is saying they are rejecting bids.
Yes,
People want to buy.
That makes
they are
sense. That
rejecting.
makes sense. That
Because
makes sense.
the bonds, the bondholders,
Oh, yeah, the
paid
bonders have been
coupons.
paid.
By
But
the
they've been
time we
paid
left
after
office.
2 years of delay.
but
We know
yeah,
that.
Of course, we understand
After
that.
2
That is
years
why
of
we
delay.
said that. Look, much as is regrettable, some of these decisions had to be taken to save the economy. And you can see the figures that I'm churning out. The economy has been saved.
So we have to,
that is why the economy recovered.
We have to clap for those Ghanaians who sacrificed.
Of course, we have to. And I apologize.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Some months before the election.
Yeah.
And because no government wants to hurt his people deliberately. Okay, it was for the sake of saving this economy. And the economy was saved before we left the office. And so, last year alone, we paid close to 17 billion Ghana cedis in coupons to bondholders, domestic bondholders. So when President Mahama issued a statement that they were going to, he has directed the Minister of Finance to pay bondholders 6 billion Ghana cedis. It wasn't a novelty. It wasn't new.
Oh, I see.
Except that
were they obeying the timetable?
Yeah, yes, they are obeying the
timetable that you had set out.
Yes.
Okay.
And we had made 3 previous payments the year before.
But you didn't talk about it.
No, he didn't.
You didn't talk about the payments.
We did. We always issued statements.
Okay.
But this time the president issued a statement
himself
from the presidency.
Yes.
As if it is new, as if he was doing something great. Our Minister of Finance had always issued a statement anytime we paid the bondholder. This money are in the hands of, because we don't have bonds again. The only source of borrowing domestically now is T-bills. And so government can only take so much. That's why they are rejecting some, bids for, and I believe also that some of the non-resident investors are coming through treasury market, through domestic institutions. The IMF program doesn't allow them to invest in our T-bills. But I believe some of them are coming through domestic institutions. That is why there is so much money chasing the T-bills and they are rejecting it. And when you reject T-bills, the demand, it shows that demand is reducing, and therefore the rate will certainly come down. That's what they have done. It's not any magic. There is not any sustainable strategy. I am happy T-bills rates are coming down because government will borrow at a relatively lower price. But what is the strategy? What's the strategy? Secondly, they are not spending.
Yeah, but they can't spend yet.
They are not spending. They are not paying contractors, for work they have done. Don't forget
but
that.
They need to verify these things.
No, but don't forget that before, we left office, I went to Parliament and presented the votes on accounts, the budget for the first 3 months of the year, 68 billion Ghana cedis. You guys are not spending, and they have so much money coming in for them to spend. So what they are doing with the money, I'm here to ask. I want to find.
To be fair to them, shouldn't they have a budget before they spend?
Yeah,
but finish presenting a budget to Parliament.
There is a budget for the first 3 months, which
they are operating. They are operating that.
Yes, which has been approved by Parliament. 68 billion Ghana cedis. But why are they not paying contractors?
They want to verify these things.
No. And they have gotten so much money. Look, we left a buffer of about 5 billion Ghana cedis for them. In January alone, Ghana Revenue Authority collected 8.7 billion Ghana cedis. And they have gone to borrow from TV 67 billion Ghana cedis so far. And now I'm hearing them talk about net borrowing. There's nothing like net borrowing. When people have rolled over, that is borrowing.
So you mean when President Mahama said the economy was not good?
They rolled over at a different interest rate.
Oh, so it's new?
It's new borrowing. So 67 billion you have borrowed in less than 2 months. And then you come and tell me I borrowed. In less than 2 months, you borrowed 67 billion Ghana cedis.
What did they borrow for if you say they are not spending?
They are supposed to spend. And so I'll be filing a question in Parliament to ask them what they did with all the money that have come, to them. So these are the challenges that we are faced with. So I was talking about the external sector. Now the financial sector is what I was talking about. Even if you look at the profitability of the financial sector, it's been well established. They have returned to profitability.
The banks?
Yes, the banks.
Like which one?
For example, return on equity after tax grew at 34.2% in December 2023 and 30.8% in December 2024.
What is return on equity after tax?
Return on equity. So you have equity if you invested your own money, and then the returns on it
is growing.
It's growing.
That means the banks are paying more for keeping your money.
The banks are getting more money for the money they are investing.
They're getting better rates for the money they're investing.
They also invest,
Why does that mean it's a good economy? Maybe they're not investing in Ghana.
No, but if you go and put, of course, a lot of them are investing in Ghana.
Okay.
Because what is the size of their assets that they could go, investing elsewhere? They are investing in Ghana. And even the capital market also shows that the economy is strong.
The stock exchange?
The stock exchange,
What's
all
happening
share
there?
index,
Yeah,
grew
it's going
by
up.
the end of 2024 by 56% growth.
Oh, 56.
56%.
Oh, that's a huge one.
Year to
on year.
date, yes. Year to date.
Oh, year to date in
Year to date,
2024.
December 2024.
56%.
Yes.
Ghana Stock Exchange.
56% Ghana Stock Exchange.
The all share index.
Yeah, index.
So that every stock grew.
Yeah. About. And on top of this, you look at our reserves. The reserves, the international reserves, gross international reserves of a country shows the resilience of the country. How ready you are.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
You are to
What are the
weather,
reserves?
to weather
We always hear
external
reserves of 2
vulnerabilities.
weeks, 3 weeks, 1 week.
Yes, exactly.
90 days.
Yes. So
What
when
reserves did you
say
relieve?
4 months of import cover. It means that assuming there is a war, you know,
We can
and
still bring our imports
you
in for the
can
next
still
4
bring it
months.
For the next 4 months, you can still bring in oil. You can still
For
bring
4
in
months.
for them was $8.9 billion, the largest in our history, which is 4 months of import cover. Even the IMF talks about 3 months of import cover. We surpassed the IMF target by 1 month. And this is
If
why,
your story is to be believed,
Yeah,
then the MPP was fantastic.
but Paul,
I do not agree with you. They all say that the economy is in terrible
so
shape.
what do they put out?
We are
In the-
yet to see.
in
But
the
the
alternative-
budget is coming. Perhaps he
Yes.
will do that.
And all this I'm talking about, they are public information.
Really?
Just look at, well, I can open for you
Which one?
the Bank of Ghana report.
Ah, yeah, we'll find it there.
Yes, I can open
So
for
Dr.
you.
Johnson Esiama has inherited that Bank of Ghana report.
Ah.
And he knows that is correct?
There is nobody who has come to challenge me on this data.
This is the same data you put out at the press conference
Yes,
yesterday.
it's the same data I put
And
out.
radio have used it.
Yes.
And no one has come to say it's
No,
not correct.
nobody has challenged this data. And nobody can challenge this data. Look at all the speeches the president has made so far. Has he made any reference to any data? Has he? And is there any way of measuring the performance of an economy?
Except by data,
Data
yeah.
doesn't lie.
I see.
Data doesn't lie.
So you are confident as outgone Minister for Finance that you have not committed any crime?
No.
Nobody in your department has committed any crime?
So I was surprised about such strong words being used by our president on us, because he has 4 years to govern this country, and he shouldn't forget that he will be given similar words by the government that will come after. And if he will see that to be inappropriate, how does he respond? It will be too late for him. Because really, if you want to see an economy is bad, tell us what the state of affairs are. And the only way is to give me the data, the figures. Paul, or you have any alternative thing?
No, I don't, but I'm surprised that you say
Yes.
that without referring to any figures. You sat in Parliament when
Yeah.
the SONA was delivered, and without referring to any figures at all.
No.
Has Parliament begun the debate of the SONA?
Today,
You started today?
yes.
And when is it getting to your turn?
Today it should, I will be debating, I believe, on the last day.
On the last day, yes.
But you should have
Minister.
listened to Honorable Abner and
No,
Gideon.
I'll go and listen to it tonight.
Listen to them.
Oh, they dealt with
They
it.
dealt with it. They put out the data. They challenged the majority side.
They didn't say anything?
But it is surprising to you, the majority thinks we should do proportional debate.
What did they say?
For every two of them, one of us should debate.
Oh, that's what they said.
Yes.
That for every two of them speaking, one of you should speak.
Why that?
Yeah, I want to know
It's
why
never been done in parliamentary practice. Why are they insisting
But
on
because
that?
you people are too few, maybe.
But the quality is there.
The quality may be there.
We have the information. We have the data.
Wow.
You know, Paul. So I'm
But
saying that.
shouldn't we get to a point where we can take a politician to task if he says something? I mean, we were doing fact checking, which was very useful and all that.
This is
Which
the-
information. The Bank of Ghana.
The reference. They saw some quoting.
Ah, yes. Okay, so the minister hands over his phone to me, and he's quoting from a document entitled "The Summary of Economic and Financial Data, January 2025." It's a document of the BOG, and this is not created by you.
No,
It's created by the statistics, the research of Bank of Ghana.
BOG is independent of the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
Very independent of the Ministry of Finance.
So the point you really make is that most of the things President Mahama said about the economy in the SONA is not to be believed.
For me, he didn't say anything. He spoke English.
No, he said the economy is a crime
So
scene.
that's why I said English. But the only way you can speak economics is to say what the real GDP is.
Okay, let's look at one sector. A sector that you are comfortable with, because you were at energy before finance, and finance is energy, and energy is finance. What is the energy going off? And the NDC communication is saying that this is part of MPP's bad work that President Mahama has been referring to.
I mean, I said yesterday that the return of President Mahama, brings memories of the doomsday that we endured between the end of 2011 and 2016. 4 years of doomsday. That wasn't good at all. It was.
I think it was 3 years.
4 years, because the last year they didn't bring out a timetable, but that doesn't mean there was no doomsday. There was doomsday. We had very serious, power challenges. We had very serious power challenges in 2016, and the public was demanding for a timetable, load shedding timetable, if you recall. They refused to do that because that was an election year.
But that also happened in 2024 when the public was demanding load shedding timetable from the government.
But the protraction is what we are talking about.
How long it lasted?
Yes, how long it lasted. And so Nana Akufo-Addo kept the lights on for most of the 8 years that he was president. If you had, interruptions, they were short-term interruptions, if you like. They were not protracted. And that's why Napo said is what? Is it Dumsia or